Good morning to everyone present here. I cordially welcome you all to TechBharat 2021, Empowering EduTech and Health Tech. TechBharat is an initiative of Lagu Udyog Bharati, Karnataka and IMS Foundation. TechBharat is envisioned as a platform to support startups and SMEs and be a guiding light to them in navigating their entrepreneurial journey. We are lucky to have found support from the Government of India at every stage, and we thank the ministers, officials, and representatives of Department of Education, Department of Health and Family Welfare, Department of Science and Technology, AICTE, and CSIR in encouraging us and supporting our vision. We welcome you to this session on higher education, research, collaboration, and compliance. Higher education is a critical contributor to sustainable livelihoods and economic development of the nation. From an Indian context, it plays an important role in developing the country as envisaged in the Constitution. Democratic, just, socially conscious, self-aware, cultured, and humane nation with liberty, equality, and a fraternal spirit. As India moves towards a true knowledge society and economy, and as we aspire to lead the fourth industrial revolution, the context of higher education has become more relevant. To discuss this further, we have with us an eminent panel representing the government, academia, and the industry. Firstly, I would like to introduce Mr. Vikas Goel, founder CEO of LearnGram.ai. He would be moderating the session too. LearnGram is an edtech company headquartered in Singapore with a vision to empower educational institutions deliver their content through its AI-empowered tech platform. He is a graduate of IIT Delhi and has worked in diverse industries such as oil and gas, investment banking, and now education. We thank you for accepting to moderate this session, Vikas, and we welcome you.
Vishnu, for the introduction. So before we start the session, if we can start with the introduction. So Dr. Mohit, if you can start with your introduction.
Great. Thank you so much, Vishu and Vikas. I'd like to also welcome Dr. Raj on behalf of, and it's like welcome to Indian audience and the audience who are listening everywhere, the global platform. As such, the introduction, maybe if you guys permit me, I would like to walk you through not about the introduction of myself, it's about the endeavors, what we are doing, and how Ministry of Education is catering to the need or to the aspiring youth of this country, channelizing their energy in the innovation ecosystem and the national education policy, which was recently offered. So, but just a couple of minutes I'd like to take, and then maybe we'll set the tone and walk through, and then Raj can take over and Vikas, right? So, Ministry of Education set up the innovation cell a couple of years ago, that is primarily in August 2018, with a mandate to foster innovation culture across the country. It is almost, I would say, around 2 years prior to the launch of National Education Policy. Now, here the mandate is to bring in youth and provide them or supplement what they are doing, what they are reading in their curriculum with this stuff like what is entrepreneurship, what is tech transfer, what is IP, what is boot camp, what is business canvas, what is design thinking, what is creativity, what is cognitive skills. So this is something which we wanted to rope in to our youth and even in our faculty members, so that whenever they are being approached by their pupils, so they are aware of what they are talking about, which was not the scenario, I believe, a few years ago, or while the time we used to do our graduation almost 2.5 decades ago. From Ministry of Education, what we have done is we have opened or started a lot of programs. I would just like to give a quick name to them, like Smart India Hackathons. Smart India Hackathon is, it has become one of the world's biggest open innovation model, whereby we are having direct, indirect impact on somewhere around 0.7 million students across the country, and even other people, faculty members, even common citizens, they are coming in, they're joining hands. Here what we do is we invite problem statements from government, state governments, departments, and then PSUs, even from private industries. We are inviting problem statements, and for those problem statements, youth of our country, they provide solutions, and then we try to nurture those solutions, some meaningful solutions, because the solutions which come from students, I believe everyone will agree, they are maybe they are not even at the level of MVPs. So we tune them up, we advise them up, and that's how we take them forward. Then we do have international hackathons, which we organize with an agenda of diplomatic and cultural exchange, with students. They are engaging among themselves. Teams, intermingling teams are formed. Like if a team sizes of 6 students, so 3 are from Singapore, 3 are from India. On the very similar lines, we are moving on with ASEAN India Hackathon and Portugal India Hackathon on the behest of our Honorable Prime Minister. He announced ASEAN India and Portugal India way back in 2019, but because of pandemic and other stuff, they got delayed. But somehow we are going to come up with ASEAN India in a complete virtual manner in February 2021, and then Portugal, we are still eyeing to have it in physical mode in May, June, in coordination with India EU Meet. Then one of the another path-breaking program which we started, it is Atal ranking of institutions on innovation index. So the primary idea over here is why not to ask an institution? It's just like in our processes, what we do, input, process, and then output. So if an institution is getting X amount of funding, what is the kind of output they are generating, or what is the kind of IP they have generated? What is the kind of innovation achievements they have done? Maybe the smart campus, maybe the smart society, smart cities around them they have developed, whatsoever kind of contribution they have done. So till past 2 editions, we were doing it for technology institutions, and in the forthcoming edition, we have roped in even arts, science, and other colleges as well, which generally people believe that innovation is not their piece of cake. But still now we have devised the model, and hopefully we're going to see the big traction. And the winners are announced by our president or the vice president of India. Then another thing, Institute Innovation Council. So this is what I started with, that we have supplemented our education in a manner with different, like design thinking, cognitive skills, creativity, everything through Institutions Innovation Council. As on today, while I speak, so every day we rope in 10, 12 more. So today's number is 2200 plus. And so just imagine the hub and spoke model. We are sitting at the center. We are controlling all these innovation councils across the country. These are in colleges, and we have chapters in them. It's just like a typical society model. We have IPR expert, we have startup expert, we have entrepreneur, we have in a way, so we cannot have so much of entrepreneur in residence at every place. So what we have done is we have entrepreneurs at the central level, and they are connected virtually, and then they provide support. We do have a banker as well in the committee members, and now we are trying to rope in the local municipal committee members, so that if they are involved and they can suggest the problems, and then MSMEs, that the SMEs who are in the vicinity, the clusters, so that students can directly be connected with them, and then they solve during their curriculum itself the solutions, or they provide the solutions to solve the pressing problems which we are having. And then we came up with National Innovation and Startup Policy. Under this policy, see only handful of institutions in India, faculty, they were permitted to do their startups and other that kind of stuff, the entrepreneurial endeavors. Under this policy, we have recommended that faculties across the country, they should be permitted with their startups, with their other entrepreneurial endeavors. And what we have done, we have interconnected these things with our other programs. Like if an NISP faculty member is there, so we are asking faculty members director identification number in area, and we are giving points for that, we are giving score for that, so that if in an institution, if there are 10 faculty members with director number, so we understand that yes, they have cleared the first step, and institute's ranking and innovation achievement will go up. And similarly, we are advising some credit-based mechanism in IICs, so that there we know that these many people who are eager to do something of their own, they are being roped in. Next comes in Yukti 2. Another thing I would also like to mention, in NISP, we have also recommended that the students who are doing their startups, can an institution look into and give them some kind of attendance leeway and other recommendations based on the internal committee performed or based on their guides recommendation. Can that student be moved on? So those kind of flexibilities are being provided. Then Yukti 2.0, it is one of its kind platform in the country, launched by our honorable HRM, or Minister of Education now, whereby we are trying to collate all these startups which are happening across HEIs on a click of a button. You can immediately look around that in AI space, in healthcare, what is being happening, where, who is the investor, where, what stage that particular company is. Now, reason being why this, because during the pandemic time, we were not even aware, we were not at all rather be able to locate that what is happening at the X corner of our country or in the Z corner of our country. So now Yukti is providing is that kind of a platform whereby we are aware of what is happening, where, how, when, what, and then we are trying to have virtual road shows, fairs over here, that students whose companies or whose startups are TRL 6+, even for the faculty members, it's TRL 6+, or they are ready to go to market, we are trying to connect them with the investors and then move on and scale them up. And then in the last, then what we have also done, roped in a PG program in innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture development. Here, the main agenda is students, they should go with their live startup, they should go with their company, and they have 2 years to perform in that with different course curriculum is designed that expert will come in, they will guide the student on their startup, and they will come up. If it is successful, that is fine, they can scale up. If it is at all not, which I do not believe the failure is a word, but they will still move out with a certificate of education, which majority of us understand that how important it is in India. Instead of saying that I wasted 2 years, instead having this certification on board. So these are like a couple of path-breaking program which we did, and during COVID-19 time as well, we came up with a lot of endeavors like Samadhan, then Fight Corona Ideathon, even drug discovery hackathons. So solutions are coming in, they are being deployed across the country. A lot of interest has been roped in from other countries as well for our hackathon programs, that how we are able to run. This is our NEP, like how we started doing. As I already highlighted, like promoted creativity and critical thinking among the youth. We are facilitating the extensive use of tech from our experiences, from roping in international experts like Raj and other people. So we have a pool of experts available, and then we are channelizing maybe the people, they say new normal, but I say that it's existing everywhere. It's all about how we channelize our energies and grab the opportunities to promote the excellence or promote the research based out of even at the grassroots level. This is something, again, as in alignment with our new policies like what we have done. So as I highlighted, Smart India Hackathons, ARIA, EDPs, IPR workshops, design thinking, interministerial, and then Innovation Ambassador, which I have not highlighted as of yet. Innovation Ambassadors, this is a training which we are giving to our faculty members. And very interestingly, we have trained somewhere around, I'm repeating, somewhere around 10,000 faculty members across the country in different aspects of entrepreneurial journey. Now, this is happening everywhere now. And if anyone approaches to those ambassadors, they are at least able to guide them or not to pass them on to the relevant expert. So this was not happening at all earlier. The idea or the motivation level used to die at the very first level, but then we learned and we started nurturing them. So now we are able to pass it on to the relevant body. At least we will have a more survival rate for those ideas which were dying before this. This is something, again, the upcoming, like I mentioned, international, Singapore, ASEAN, Portugal. So those people who participate in our national level hackathons, and then we take them up to other international opportunities. ASEAN, which I said, so it's again 11 countries would be participating, including India. So India plus 10 countries, and more than 300-400 students and dignitaries everywhere they're roping in. Humongous. So it's like going crazy everywhere. And I'm sure if you go around, if you look on Twitter, social media, even students, they wait like anything every year for Smart India Hackathons now to happen. We have received feedback from industries in a manner that students are performing really well. Companies, what they do now, that if a student has participated in SIH, Smart India Hackathon, and they have won something, they literally, many of the companies, they do not take their written test or whatnot. They directly allow them for interviews. So this is a kind of traction we are having across the country. And from my end, what I would like to say, and this is what I wanted to present, that what from Ministry of Education's end, the action item has been taken in a rapid mode across the country, and what is happening around here. So because this is something maybe I have taken more time, but I wanted to highlight that from government's end, what action is happening.
This is very good, very helpful to know what government is doing and seeing the direction of the overall approach. So I will move to Dr. Raj, and if Dr. Raj, you can introduce yourself, then yeah, great for the audience.
Okay, again, thank you, Vikas, and thank you, Mohit. Greetings from Arkansas. So my name is Raj Rao. I'm the professor and department head in the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences in the context of healthcare innovations, but also in line with this particular theme in the context of innovations in education that we are also doing. More importantly, what we're doing in promoting engineering design, community engagement, and healthcare innovations. Next slide, please. So we are located in the heartland of America, and we are primarily located in Northwest Arkansas, which is again to the south. We have the big state of Texas, and so we're nestled in that heartland of America. And Fayetteville is home to three major companies: Walmart, Walmart, Tyson Foods, and JB Hunt. Next slide, please. So in the context of healthcare innovations, one of the things we're doing, innovating in our own undergraduate program, is developing this course called the Clinical Needs Finding course. So I have been at the University of Arkansas for close to 5 years right now and heading the department. And one of the things we realized very early on is we needed to get our students into our communities. And all our students do something called a capstone senior design course for over a year. And as part of that, we felt that it was really important for them to really focus on real world problems. So we've transformed our senior design course to a student-led real world problem solving interactive course. And the first step was creating this clinical needs finding course for our junior level students. Next slide, please. And so now it's a mandatory course that we now have in place that is a 1 credit hour course. And it basically provides all biomedical engineering students the opportunity to observe the daily operations of several local healthcare settings. And then every student who goes through this clinical needs course is then required to present a senior design project idea based on their observations. And in most cases, students end up presenting at least 3 to 4 project ideas based on their observations. Next. Right. So as part of the course, the first 3 weeks are preparation for the observations. The students are required to go through HIPAA training. Again, this is in the context of ensuring that they recognize the value of patient privacy. Students through this course not only get to visit clinical sites, they get an opportunity to meet with patients, clinicians, caregivers, nurses, be it anyone in healthcare settings, because the focus out here is really to talk with many people who are involved in providing healthcare and learning from them and then developing solutions accordingly. Next. So again, they participate in a 3-week intensive observation period. At least 1 4-hour observation is required each week. And as I mentioned, they get to interact with clinical providers, staff, patients, and caregivers. And then the project idea is basically turned into a midterm exam. Next, please. And students work closely with clinical mentors from many different units. Next. And even we invite our clinical partners to attend the final presentations, and the students then continue to work, and these partners also continue to work with our students for senior design. Next. So this is some of the anecdotal evidence we received from students who are participating. The important thing to note out here is that what the students recognize is that they're able to engage with the communities, with the local communities in the Northwest Arkansas area. But more importantly, they see the value that it brings to their education. They are able to recognize and develop technologies that are available to the general population. And they also focus a lot on constraint-based design. So how are we going to develop solutions, low-cost solutions that can benefit a broad, diverse population? Next. So as you can see out here, this experience brought the purpose behind biomedical engineering to life. In many ways, our focus out here is to empower our students to take charge of their design experience and to develop solutions accordingly that can benefit local communities. Next. The interesting aspect of this is that, as I mentioned, this is a community engagement course. So we have something called a service learning designation, and this is the first course in biomedical engineering, in fact, in the College of Engineering, that has a real service learning designation. And in the future, we aim to further increase and diversify observation sites. So we currently have around 15 to 20 clinical sites in the Northwest Arkansas area, both public and private. We have, in private settings, we have the Arkansas Children's Hospital, Highlands Oncology, Ozark Orthopedics. And in the public setting, we have students go to the University of Arkansas Medical School, which is our medical center. That is an academic medical center. Students go visit the internal medicine, family medicine, diabetes clinics, so on and so forth. And so since the fall of last year, all our senior design projects are student innovated, student led, driven by observations of unmet needs in the local medical community. Next. We're fortunate to have recently received a 5-year grant from the National Institute of Health to really, innovate within our curriculum. So the title of the project is an educational toolkit for bioengineering design, entrepreneurship, and service learning. And through this grant, we really focused on incorporating design aspects within our curriculum, service learning aspects within our curriculum, and providing students the tools necessary to further their design thinking. Next. Further to that, we've also moved towards expanding our graduate programs. We now have a concentration within our graduate programs that is focused on healthcare entrepreneurship. And the interesting aspect of this is this is a direct partnership with the Sam Walton College of Business. So students within this particular concentration will have the opportunity to take 15 credits in the biomedical engineering program and 15 credits in the School of Business. So what this allows them is to really take courses focused on new venture development. The focus out here is to really then take any ideas they've developed as part of Capstone Senior Design and take it to the next step. Next. The other aspect that we've also expanded on is our partnership globally. So the idea is really focused here on medical innovation, but also on global health. But what we have really quickly realized is that we do have local problems that exist in different areas. So we have local problems that exist in Northwest Arkansas. We do have local problems that exist in Bangalore, India. And we have opportunities to learn from each other and develop solutions that can have global impact. Next. So we've developed a partnership with BMS College of Engineering in Bangalore, India. And in fact, one of our students spent almost 6 months last year in Bangalore, India, and she had an opportunity to interact with different stakeholders in Bangalore, India, visiting with many different clinics, visiting NGOs out there, and she had an excellent opportunity that is subsequently developed into a real partnership between our two universities. So what we have done in the past semester is we have developed this, obviously under the current circumstances. We have a fully remote learning experience. In the context, we have 20 students from our university, 20 students from BMS College of Engineering participating in this experience, where we are focused on developing solutions that directly address the pandemic at this time. So it has been an extremely interesting experience having students from two different universities interacting across the seven seas, so to say, and identify problems based on what they've experienced in Bangalore, identify problems based on what they've experienced here in Northwest Arkansas, but more importantly, interacting with the local communities. Students have had an opportunity to meet with clinical partners, to meet with NGOs in respective settings, and then have these mentors come and talk with them and propose propose problem statements. And so we've had some really interesting solutions that have been developed in the context of sanitization, in the context of sustainability, and again in the context of ensuring that there are some good supply chain models that are developed for healthcare delivery and innovation as well. So we're really excited about some of these innovations that we're doing in education that directly address healthcare innovation. So it's really important that these kind of continuous communications happen across multiple universities across the world to ensure that solutions are being met to address the broader population. So again, thanks, because again I took a lot more time to really talk about some of the things we've been doing out here.
It's really good work, Dr. Raj. Thank you so much for sharing it. So, Dr. Mohit, if you can do an introductory view onto the title of this session, which is Higher Education, Research, Collaboration, and Compliance, and give a prospect from your side. How do you see these three areas, and what is government doing around those areas?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vikas. And if we look in, a present scenario or today's perspective, this is something which is necessary. It is, in a way, I must say, it is bound to happen in Indian scenario, which we were lacking somehow. But the tone which has been set up, the situation which is around us, the mandate, as I said, which we are running in. So a lot of now industries, they are joining hands together. They are establishing their COEs in colleges in India, from where they're setting the research tone. So if we say the collaboration aspect happened, now research tone is being set up. Earlier, what was happening? People, they were working in silos. Nobody was actually looking at even next door prof or the researcher what they are doing. Right. Today, now we are somehow able to connect them, and they are able to share their thoughts. They are able to share their ideas, following a new normal as such, even virtually, because this has become the norm now. They are around the corner. They just click on the links. They come on these virtual conferences, and then they set up. Now, compliances, if you move along, yes, we are still weak. We are trying to come up with that. It's just like, to a nascent, you teach them to crawl, then walk, then run. So we have initially set up the tone to crawl and stand on their feet. Now I'm sure once this happens for a couple more months, other scenarios and how to internationalize that aspect can also be implemented pretty soon. So this is something which government has already taken care of, is going in a rapid mode out here.
Thank you so much, Mohit, for your view. And moving to Dr. Raj, seeing from US side of it and being from India, how do you see these three areas when a US university or US side, when you look at India into three areas of research, collaboration, compliance? What is the general perception in US when people look at these three areas in India?
Sure. So again, I've been in the US for close to half my life right now, and so it's very interesting to see every time I visit India, the changes that are occurring. And I've had opportunities to visit many of the IITs. So in my previous university, I had a partnership with IIT Kharagpur and visiting them for many years. And I see a lot of unique opportunities that are developing in India. And as Mohit mentioned, I think one of the things that where opportunities exist is breaking down these boundaries across disciplines. We really got to focus on creating these interdisciplinary educational experiences. Getting students to really talk with students from other disciplines. I think those kinds of opportunities do exist. Again, in my own personal experience as an undergrad at BITS Pilani, so that was a very interesting experience in itself, in a way we were really taught to speak across disciplines. And I think that was very useful for us. So I think many universities now in India are really focused on providing students the broader educational experience that's necessary as they move into the real world. So collaboration is a must. It is where I think in many ways innovation happens. Again, from a compliance standpoint, I think there are lots of unique opportunities that are developing. Again, I think there's definitely room for improvement in the context of, especially in the context of getting ideas into the marketplace through a process. So I think there are definitely opportunities. Many universities have their own, say, technology ventures cell, so to say. I think those are extremely important in ensuring that what faculty and students develop in universities can really contribute to real world solutions.
Thank you, Dr. Raj, for sharing your views. So, just to share my perspective on this, title, being from always in industry, and so I really believe that this multidisciplinary approach will help India a lot. My background from IIT engineering, then I did my CFA, and now I'm doing my law degree from India, and I feel that the value add by having a breadth of thinking and then applying those ideas from multidisciplinary areas to industry will really drive new type of innovation, because it's not being done in India. That means we have followed a linear approach of innovation, and once we start to blend this different way of learning itself, our mind starts to blend into how do we innovate from different perspective, and that will generate a huge value long term in India. I think the challenges what I see as a student myself current, that how the opportunities are still into silos. So if you see someone doing an engineering degree, is very focused to a silo type of a job. So the private sector or industry still have to embrace the idea of multidisciplinary thinking to give a higher value when they're hiring. People are really focused on hiring from top tiers. What about that 95% of those colleges which are not into top tier category? How do we address that? The question is, if Indian university students can get collaboration, moving to the point of collaboration, can find a tool to partner with overseas universities, so that a person who is in a tier 3 university, even though he did not get access to tier 1 universities in India, how can that student still leverage a high quality education which is available in US, maybe a part of it, to experience how the tier 1 the education works. So that collaboration part, cross border collaboration, not only focused on tier 1, also on focused on tier 3, is something which I feel is really necessary. And I've not seen how, I would want to get Dr. Mohit view on that. How can we bring that? In theoretical way, it looks good that is possible, because I'm part of Pan IIT Singapore. I'm vice president of Pan IIT chapter, and we always, whenever a university in Singapore wants to go through Pan IIT, we always end up connecting them to IITs. What about those colleges which are in Meerut or Muzaffarnagar, who also need that type of a collaboration? How do we get the collaboration at that level? So I feel there is a missing link. So I will want to ask Dr. Mohit's opinion. How can we solve this problem of connecting tier 3 universities to tier 2, or at least tier 3 universities in a developed country, and bring more meaningful collaboration?
Right. Because this is really an interesting stuff which you have brought in. And the situation is, what I always say, it's not about, it is the difference between need and a want. Is it your need or is it your want? That is the line or the parameter we need to draw. So from our end, what we have done is, we understand what student need is, right? And from that need perspective, we have tried to imbibe a system where people are able to come up with a collaborative approach. So like, as I mentioned, even our hackathons, we do not enter into any kind of biasing, be it a student of IIT or be it a student of tier 4 institution. Whosoever is performing, we have a central pool, we have a central system, we put on all the students at par. we do not take it. See, it might be a day where you cracked your entrance in a pretty neat manner. You entered into a tier 1 or tier 2 university, you got the chance. It is not like that you are not capable enough or you're not capable enough to think. And it's like from womb to tomb kind of approach that I generally feel that some a pupil cannot come up so learned from mother's womb.
Yeah.
It's all our society, our social, our peers pressure, peer thing, which makes us like what we do. And the students who are at tier 3 level, even our programs, what we do is we encourage those tier 3, tier 4 level institutions and then try to intermingle, like having that mentor-mentee approach.
Yeah.
Even our IITs, what we have done is those institutions who are performing at a 5-star level, now they have acted as the experts from those IICs, they are acting as a mentor to the institutions who are at tier 4 or tier 3. So we are trying to have that intermingling approach, even from AICT's end, which is like government's technology courses regulating body. They do follow the Margdarshak scheme. That is the person who can, pave the way for. And these Margdarshaks are learned professors from elite institutions. And then they go to these, tier 2, 3, 4 institutions, and then they try to imbibe a culture, generate a culture over there that what kind of learning practices, experiences, their faculty members, their students, what are the best practices they should follow. So these kind of activities have already been roped in. And now we are trying to analyze that what kind of impact it is having on those institutions. So these practices have come up of late in last couple of years.
And Dr. Raj, on the same point, touching to Dr. Mohit said, do you think a student in US university is always, when he wants to collaborate in India or is looking for a partner, he either has a mindset of looking for the tier 1 institutions, or do you think there is an approach where universities can partner with the tier 3 universities and there will be more of maybe not equal foot collaboration, but maybe more of upstream to downstream knowledge transfer and having that collaboration from a university perspective? Because you just highlighted a point in the previous conversation how
Right.
you collaborated with the IIT Kharagpur. What about that tier 3, tier 4? How do you think the students collaborating from that perspective?
Right. So again, most of these partnerships that are established, between universities in the US and universities in India, most of them are really faculty driven. Okay, and a lot of it is obviously based on personal connections that we have, and clearly identifying opportunities so that the students in our American universities get unique learning experiences. So when I was in my previous university in Virginia, so I was involved in this partnership with IIT Kharagpur. But here at the University of Arkansas, I'm involved in a partnership with BMS College of Engineering in Bangalore. Now, both these universities are very different in their approaches. Both these universities present unique opportunities. Both these universities present unique challenges as well. The goal out here is for students across these different universities to interact and learn from each other. That's the real goal out here. Okay. So in the US system, we have something called the study abroad program, and we have students go. So we have multiple programs across different parts of the world, and students have the opportunity to sign up for the study abroad programs. And so again, at the University of Arkansas, I have spearheaded the development of a study abroad program in India focused on medical innovations. And the partner that we identified was BMS College of Engineering. Again, it is because of some of the things the faculty out there were doing, and also because of the location, which is Bangalore. There are unique opportunities that present itself in Bangalore. And one thing that I want to address in the context of identifying universities or colleges across India that have potential, okay, they might not necessarily be in tier 1 as you were talking about, but they have unique potential because of some of the things they're attempting to do in the context of innovations in education. And we definitely have to nurture that, because I think some of the ideas that are coming out from these newer universities are worth exploring. But also at the same time, we have to ensure that they meet certain standards and practices. So for example, in the US, we have something called ABET, which is the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. They come in. I'm an ABET program evaluator, and I have the opportunity to visit other colleges to evaluate their programs to ensure that they meet certain standards based on which the students can earn a specific engineering degree. So I think those kinds of opportunities, again, this is important in the context of compliance we spoke about earlier. These kinds of standards have to be met by all programs that are going to be offering very, very specific engineering degrees. So once you have those kinds of standards in place, it really doesn't matter where the students are going to get their degree from. Okay, and I think the unique opportunities then exist based on where they're getting their degree from, what opportunities exist in those local environments that really provide them these experiential learning opportunities beyond the classroom. That is what we need to really focus on providing the students as well.
Thank you, Dr. Raj, for your view. So, moving to Dr. Mohit. So, what do you think should be the overall approach that academic and private research community in India should take to accelerate the implementation of the plan you presented?
Okay. See, I believe from government side we are doing something, but more or less, which I always believe, until and unless the common man come in, join hands, and participate, things are not going to become as convenient as possible. And trust me, sometime as a common man, I get fed up. Like I am moving on a road, and it's been so many years, and we are still not getting rid of these pets. We are still not getting rid of this mud falling down. We are still not getting away with the pollution factors, AQIs. As this the place we are living in, and we are creating for our generation to come up. What the hell we are doing, frankly, and please excuse for my words. Now what I'm trying to say is this particular aspect or these things are the foundation stones where the researcher community, where our clusters, where our SMEs, where our various they are facing some problems. Like our SMEs, they're facing problems because they ooze out so much of pollutants. Now where to dump them, how to get rid of those things? We need to provide solutions over there, and our academia has to work in parallel in a way that if there are COEs there, if a solution has been done in Trivandrum, why it cannot be implemented in Delhi, right? That's the approach we need to work around, and that we are working around very sincerely on those kind of creation of clusters, that why to reinvent the wheel. And in a rapid mode, if something has been done, why can't, or let us suppose if Raj has done something in University of Arkansas, as an intellectual, why can't I shed my ego and ask for assistance from Raj? Hey Raj, this is a problem we are facing, can't we come up and create a wonderful word out here? So this kind of, if I say, the silos and ego has to be shed in completely. The intellectuals should sit across the table. The pressing problems need to be harnessed, that yes, these are the solutions available. This is the area we should research upon. These are the areas we should focus upon and work around, form the groups and work around. So that's what we are trying to do across here. And really, if we are successful, would like to collaborate with other entities across the globe, that yes, let's join hand together. Let it happen what is happening everywhere, but let's try to create something wonderful for each one of us.
Yeah, I agree with you. Dr. Raj, what are your views on what Dr. Mohit has said? And also, one question to add to that was, like, what do you think should be then approach? Should we follow a Western approach of futuristic innovation, or should the focus of our limited research resources be more centric towards solving India specific near-term challenges? Because Western countries has been always looking at 10 years of innovation time frame. India has to focus on more near-term. So what do you think should be, first, what is your view on what Dr. Mohit said? And second is, what type of approach we should take towards limited research resources available in India? Is it more Western approach or more India-specific approach?
Yeah, so again, rather than calling it a Western approach, and I think I would prefer to call it a more humanistic approach that needs to be taken wherever you are. It doesn't matter, So I think the important thing to note out here is that in the context of academic institutions serving as engines for innovation, serving as centers for research excellence, there are unique opportunities that now exist in India. I think there are opportunities for public-private partnerships that exist, but more importantly, I think institutions have to be engaged with their local communities. I think there are excellent opportunities if institutions actively engage with their local communities, identify solutions, and identify problems, and then develop solutions accordingly. Be it in healthcare, be it in IT, or be it in addressing problems related to the environment. So I think there are unique opportunities that exist in India. I think students are always willing to figure out ways to translate their knowledge into developing solutions that impact the communities. And that's where we really start. You need to start local. Okay. And, as Mohit mentioned, if you have a solution that's developed in Trivandrum, why can't it be implemented in New Delhi or anywhere else in India? So I think investments can be made wisely so that the wheels are not reinvented. The idea really is to get like minds wherever they are together to develop solutions that will have broad impact. That's the real focus out here. Again, in the context of India, I think there are greater opportunities to go beyond our cities, right? To really develop solutions that can impact populations in rural communities. Whenever I come back to India, I see innovation happening everywhere, so many different ways. It might not necessarily be recognized or publicized so much, but the reality is that it does occur on a daily basis. Are there opportunities to take it to the next level, develop small businesses based on those? I think those are the things that one needs to focus on. And accordingly, one can develop educational programs, training programs, so that students can then really focus on developing solutions that impact the communities.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. And to add my perspective onto this, I resonate with both of you, what you said, and there's a good, like Dr. Vijay, is a Duck professor. He came up with a book which defined about reverse innovation. That if we innovate for emerging country, that innovation will also be beneficial to developed countries. And there are examples where GE has gone into the rural India and devised devices because of the lack of infrastructure, and that became a huge market for developed countries also eventually, because there's so many problems to be solved in India at a cost-effective price. If that innovation can really start from emerging country, I believe that there's a lot of scope for really new inventions to come out of emerging market to go towards developed country. And that is where the collaboration becomes very important, because Western view of seeing innovation in the frugal way of India being innovating, that combination, I think, can generate much more innovation than has been done in the silos of different countries in terms of innovation research. So, second question, Dr. Mohit, I have is, what do you think are the funding gaps in doing sufficient research in India? And if you think if there are any gaps, and what should be the private sector doing to fill those gaps, especially when private sector and industries are always near-term focused, and they want to commercialize the moment they want to invent something. How do we close the gap? And if there is a gap, and what shall we do to
Right.
Yeah.
So certainly, Vikas, and I do not have any qualms in accepting that there are gaps. Okay, there are, and it's not like, and this is something I personally believe will always be there, because it's kind of a demand and supply. We have so much of demand out there, and the supply is still. See, if you look around in India, we are primarily, if we say, and now slowly and gradually we are moving out of that side, but we were pure play services based economy. And then we come up with R&D boost and the research focus. So the majority of our students, what they were into, yes, they will get a job, they aspire for movement into services industry, without a deep rooted focus on perpetual research projects. There were it is lacking. We do not have kind of projects offering whereby a student is entered into a university setup or an institution, and then he will work on, or his professor is working on, or she is working on something for good old 2 3 4 5 years, and then if he or she has moved out, their juniors or peers, they will take up these kind of projects. The perpetual project mechanism is seriously lacking over here. But now with the setup of and I'm sure again, as in national education policy, we are coming up with National Research Foundation, just on the lines of, we have NSF in states and other stuff. So it is a big corpus which is going to control everything, which is going to avoid the reputation, the duplication, and streamlining the research. And it is a huge corpus which government is envisaging to provide to our researcher for more meaningful and a perpetual research, which is having a longer horizon, so as to say. So this is something. And now coming to the industry part, as I highlighted, in India, industry primarily it is a services driven. And if we come up with, so if you focus around, and I would like to again touch up, see, low research, low IP filings, these are like correspondences. If you just look around, it has a clear cut relation. You go to US, you file more than 6.5 to 7 lakh IPs per year. You come down to India, you file 50,000 IPs per year. So it's a clear cut indicator. But we are trying to move into a direction whereby we have taken a target that yes, this year we have to, from our academic institutions, there should be more than 10,000 IP filings. We are encouraging that. So if we are roping in today, I'm sure down the line, 2 3 4 years after, people, they will seriously take it that quality IP should be coming in. So that's how our research focus will be moving in. That's my take.
Okay. Dr. Raj, what is your view on what Dr. Mohit has said, and also how do you see the role of co-sharings of IPs between universities of developed country and emerging country to reduce the load of research resources in India? And do you think this type of innovation gap makes the collaboration less relevant?
So the first thing I wanted to address is funding. We definitely need increased funding to promote research. Okay, research at all levels. So you have basic research, then you have applied research, and then you have something called translational research, in the sense that it is really getting directly into the marketplace, so to say. So you do need to support research at all levels. Okay, because there is clear evidence to show that basic research, it might not lead to inventions or discoveries right away. It's a process. The process of science sometimes can take a bit of time, but it has potential for long-term impact. So it is always useful for national research foundations to clearly identify what are the short-term research goals and what are the long-term research needs, so to say, in the context of that meet the economic development objectives of the country, right? So I think that's something to look at. Second thing is also, again, we are dealing with taxpayer dollars out here, right, or rupees for that matter. So there has to be accountability, right? So I think anytime any kind of investment is made in any faculty member like me, for example, or any faculty member in India, there has to be accountability for whatever the amount is given, the grant funding that's given. There has to be clear outcomes, there has to be clear milestones, there has to be accountability for whatever is being, because again, these are taxpayer rupees, right, that's being invested. I think that's critical. Addressing your second point in the context of looking at collaborations across the world, that could also that has potential for joint invention disclosures. I think it's something that we are starting to explore very seriously, and it happens. So we do have, so we when we, even within our own system, we have collaborations across different universities in the US and in the world as well. And so if you have different people coming together to contribute to an invention, then the universities get together to figure out how best to create those agreements. I don't see that as a problem at all. And I honestly see that there are extremely unique opportunities for Indian universities and US universities to clearly partner towards developing, innovative solutions that then has potential for developing startup companies, be it in India or US. So I think we need to be exploring that more carefully. I think there are opportunities. So again, we have the world's oldest modern democracy, the world's largest modern democracy. I think we can make a lot of things happen.
Dr. Mohit, what is your view on to the co-sharing of IPs between developed country and emerging country? And you think there is the innovation gap is so big that even there is a co-sharing does not have really meaning because the problem sets are completely different? Or do you see there is a role areas where co-sharing of IPs between universities of developed and emerging countries can help India as such?
Okay. So no, this is again, if you say, I must say, so I'm deliberating on a lot of this. If I say the IP sharing platform, that how it is the cross licensing stuff, it is going to happen. See, if we look around, we need to understand first in our intrinsic perspective that people need to understand how to value IP and how to play with ethics of those IP. It is not. So until and unless we create that environment among ourselves in the local scenario, then we can actually cross boundaries and ask people and create a consortium where people across universities can exchange ideas. But having said that, IP is something which in future in India as well. So it's running in US and they are getting huge pile and chunk of their revenues from IP licensing. So we need to actually come up with that kind of scenario where there should be no loss of revenue. There should be, encouraged the research which is healthy, which is for the masses. That kind of platforms are need of an hour. They should exist sooner than later. That's what I believe.
And adding on to that question, Dr. Mohit, what you said, and would want to have Dr. Raj opinion later on that. IP, there's a saying in an IP rules, both moral and legal are not followed in emerging market. And this is one of the reason why Indian companies tend not to file IPs because they don't value it. The moral and the legal aspect of it. Do you think that mindset is changing, or do you think it takes we are few years away from having that moral and legal rules of an IP being followed in countries like India?
See, we are working on those kind of policy documents, and as I said, that we have started working on very generously, very seriously, that how to rope things up and how to draft these things up that can be taken up and that can be implemented. So maybe just a couple of years we are sitting down the line. People, they need to understand, and IP filings, you are certainly going to see a huge traction. I'm sure another just 1 or 2 years, because now people, they have started. We have actually in our just like Raj mentioned, in our accreditation system, in a very similar manner, we have started doing that like I said, ARIA. So the number of IP filings. Today we are saying on number of IP filings. Tomorrow we are going to say the number of IP commercialized. Day after tomorrow we are going to say the number of IP in the cross licensing academic kind of a highway or a platform. So these are the steps we are moving in. So we have already started walking into that direction, and I'm sure you'll see the traction not today, but maybe 2-3 years after.
And Dr. Raj, how do you feel as an academia when you work with Indian private companies or universities? When you're sharing IP, what is the general perception? What you have? Is it like a open source mindset of just sharing the IP and not having, or do you follow, or do you have sometimes concerns of working on to some of those IP projects with Indian counterparts?
Yeah, again, I think we operate in universities. We typically operate, in a setting where there's active collaboration across universities across the world, right? But that being said, we fully understand the need for protecting intellectual capital. There has to be protections. So if someone were to develop an invention in India, they need to be able to protect it according to the policies that are set in India. Okay, so I think that's very critical. Protections are extremely important. So whenever we enter into any partnerships, we definitely have our university administrators look through the partnerships, the legalities of the partnership, the expectations of the partnership. All that has to be identified very early on. And once we have the framework in place, then it's a lot easier for people to then share information, and so that the outcomes are very clear. And then we know clearly what we're expecting, what are we getting into. So I think those are the kind of things that have to be put in place: the procedures, policies, the system that has to, that allows then people to then work more freely.
Okay. So, Dr. Raj, you want to do the closing remarks first? Or?
Sure. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you today. I think it's a unique time in our history, so to say. I think we are facing some unique challenges in this world, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of commonality that exists, right? And so I think we've got to look at that and see how we can all get together to innovate in education and innovate in developing healthcare solutions for the masses. Really, that's what we need to focus on. So how can we develop low-cost, innovative solutions that will have a broad impact?
Yeah.
That's the key. I think that's what we need to focus on. I think students these days are extremely enterprising. They're always looking for new opportunities to further their education, but more importantly, to translate the knowledge that they gain from the classrooms into the real world. So the more opportunities we can provide that for our students, we're creating greater opportunities to innovate as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think that this is the good time, especially for education sector, because COVID has brought the reality, and I would say there are bad things happening because of this COVID, but the positive impact, especially towards education, which has been always moving slower than expected.
Correct.
This window can give everybody an opportunity to accelerate that growth and move next 10 years much faster than it has been moving, especially towards the education side.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and I think in many ways, I really don't think we should go back to the same way we were teaching or educating before. I think there are some unique, novel ways of educating that we have had to develop very quickly, and I think there are some aspects that provide us opportunities to reach a broader audience. But at the same token, it's really important to have that face-to-face interaction, right?
Yeah,
I
think it's
right.
Not take one extreme side. Yeah.
Correct, exactly.
So I take this opportunity on behalf of TechBharat. I thank Dr. Gambhir for making time in spite of his busy schedule and being there. I think some pretty intense discussions, and I'm sure there will be key takeaways for everybody who is part of this audience. Thank you, Dr. Mohan. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vitru. Thank you, Vikas and Raj. It was a pleasure meeting you. Maybe next time I would be traveling down there. I'll give you a buzz.
Yeah,
and that's my pleasure sharing my views. And Vikas as well in Singapore. I'm frequent there as well. So
yeah, that would be great.
It's like IT and tech-based innovation. This is something we are trying to create a strong ecosystem. And if we get support from enablers like you, I'm sure the indigenous stuff which we are trying to create it will see a broader horizon and the growth perspective which we are eyeing for in the coming years. Thank you so much once again on providing the platform. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. I mean, it is late for you, I understand, and thank you so much on behalf of TechBharat. A wholehearted gratitude for being part of this platform. Vikas, I think that was an excellent session, well moderated. Thank you so much for taking this, accepting our request and moderating the session.
Sure.
Some very well laid out discussions that happened today. And thank you so much.